What has been my biggest watch journey regret? What is my favorite watch out of the Grail watches? What was the best release this year in 2025? All of these questions, all of your questions will be answered in this video, but we're doing it in typical Chisholm Hunter fashion. We're doing it from one of the most beautiful places in the world, the Isle of Lewis and the Isle of Harris. Welcome back to the Chisholm Hunter channel. My name is Harrison, as always. And my God, this place is, if you hear the waves behind me, that's because I'm literally on a beach by myself. That's the thing about Scotland, there's nobody here. Right, so let's get to the first question. We have Loris Sparks, and he says, what's your favorite Omega model? I think in terms of history, the best Omega model is probably the Speedy, if I'm being perfectly honest. But if I'm to bring my bias and my prejudice into it, it has to be the Seamaster. That sentimental link with James Bond, you just can't beat it. Right, next up we have Dials_Crowns, and Dials_Crowns says, what do you wear the king most on? Rubber, strap, or bracelet? I actually am using my left hand, which has my watch on it to film, so I can't show you, but I've gone through every iteration of this watch in terms of NATO, bracelet, and rubber, and the one that I always keep coming back to is the rubber. For me, the NATO pushes the head of the watch up a little bit too high, and I know that I could get a single pass NATO, but I just didn't. And the bracelet just isn't for me because I don't want to get it battered and bruised, and a lot of what I do, like today, is travel. So I think for me, for my lifestyle, it's definitely the rubber strap. It's quite funny, guys, we've come to a place called the Butt of Lewis. It's right up the tippy top of the Outer Hebrides on the Isle of Lewis. And it's normally quite busy at that point, but if you come about 2 minutes away from it, literally like not even a 2-minute drive, there's a beautiful beach here and nobody's here. It's funny, guys, I've literally just reached the road to the next destination, and that's the road over here. It's not a road, it's a field to this beautiful beach. Let's just do it. Hey! Oh God, they're all coming over. I've never seen sheep this friendly. Boop. Do you like my Omega, guys? What do you think? Is it, oh my God, it's an electric fence. Oh, I had no idea that was electric. The top tip for anyone coming to Scotland, be careful of the fences. Oh, that was sore. Alright guys, I thought I'd just have a little seat here and answer some more questions. So the next question is from the Dial in Pods, and he says, you love your Seamaster, obviously, of course, got on now, and he says, but tell us your gripes and how you fix it. I had one gripe with the Seamaster. One gripe, that's all I've ever had, and it was with the NATO strap, the double pass NATO strap. It pushed it off my wrist that little bit too much, made it a little bit too thick. But to get around that, I just put the rubber strap back on it. And also you could probably get a single pass NATO strap. So honestly, if that's the only problem you're having with a watch, it's a good watch. Next up, we have Salbert274. Thoughts on the Grand Seiko White Birch Spring Drive version. I love Grand Seiko. I love the Spring Drive movement. I love everything that they're doing as a brand. I love Zaratsu polishing. However, I feel like they need something different. They've done the dials, they are the king of dials, and they just seem to keep honing in on their dial colors instead of doing different stuff, changing up their bracelet, changing up the case shape, changing up the thickness. So I think that I love Grand Seiko, but I'd like to see something different from them. Okay, so next up we have Kyle_Min Isal, and he says, best do everything watch, Panerai Luminor, Aquaterra, Speedy, Explorer, or OP. I would suggest the Panerai Luminor and the Explorer. Reason being is that the Aquaterra is the dressy alternative to the Seamaster, the 300 meter professional. So I think it's too dressy for everyday wear. I love it, I just think it's that little bit too dressy. The Speedmaster is also more of a dress watch, depending on which one you go for. By the way, there's a cow that's right behind the camera, so if it knocks over, you know why. That's so distracting. So there's obviously the Speedmaster. I think that's that little bit more dressy. I also think the OP is a little bit more dressy than the Explorer. I don't know, for an everyday watch, for something you want to wear every day, you want to get it beaten up and you want it to have a sense of adventure, a sense of taking it anywhere, and it can do anything. So I think the Explorer and the Luminor fit perfectly into that category. With that said, let me know what you guys think in the comments on that one, because it's a hot topic. Next up, we have D-Tech for Real, and he says, I would like to explore Scotland with my family. What would you recommend for 4 days? Honestly, the Isle of Lewis and the Isle of Harris, where I am right now, for families is incredible. Honestly, there's nowhere else in the world that you can get turquoise water, drive right up to the beach, and there's nobody here. There's literally, it's me and there's a couple of cows behind the camera at the moment. That's literally it. So the Isle of Lewis, the Isle of Harris, if you don't want to get a ferry, then I would suggest the Isle of Skye. Incredible, do the Old Manor Store, Talisker's Bay, all those key kind of sites in Skye. Also, I would suggest getting some whiskey. It's amazing. Scotland's obviously known for its whiskey. If not there, and you want to keep closer to kind of the central belt, maybe go to Glencoe for a couple of days. That again is incredible. But Scotland is one of the most beautiful places in the world. Actually, I changed that. I think Scotland is the most beautiful place in the world. But anyway, guys, let's go to the next location and answer a couple more of these questions. I'm just really conscious that there's cows that are they're like so close to the camera right now, and I'm kind of scared about it. So just to let you guys know, that was what was going on behind the camera. Literally all those sheep. There's some cows over there that have moved a little bit, but wow, this is stunning. Right, I just want to say something really quick before we move on with the questions. I felt recently like I'd maybe bitten off more than I could chew. I had to cancel a holiday that I was meant to be going on, and it would have been the first holiday that I'd been on in a couple of years that wasn't film-centric, that wasn't set up just to film, because filming is my job. And it's because I have so much on. I've got the podcast that I'm juggling, the Chisholm Hunter channel that I'm juggling, management within Chisholm Hunter that I'm juggling, the Summit collection, the new jewellery collection. There's just tons of stuff on, and I love it. My brain, my ADHD brain loves the stimulation of that. But it was getting quite close to the burnout point. And honestly, the thing that's kept me going is the support from you guys. It means so much to me. Reading through your comments, seeing your DMs on Instagram or whatever else, it truly, truly means the world. And these small things that might be so mundane to people really make an impact on me personally. And I just wanted to say, before we go anywhere, before we move on to the next beautiful destination, because it's Scotland, thank you. Like truly, it means so much to me, and you guys have changed my life for the better, and I don't know what I'd be doing if it wasn't videography, so truly, thank you. Right, that is us done at that beautiful beach. The next location is just as stunning, so let's quickly teleport there and get to some more questions. Right, we have arrived. This must be one of the most beautiful spots in the world, so let's have a look at it before we move on to the next question. This is Luskentyre Beach. So I was just doing a cheeky full send in the drone, and looks like it's crashed. Oh no. So I just crashed my drone again. I was doing some full sends straight along the beach there, and it just clipped the sand and just rolled about 100 times. There's a blade that's totally snapped off, but apart from that, it seems relatively okay. You can see that blade is just totally snapped off. That one's not in great nick, and it's just covered in sand, which is not what you want on a drone. She should be fine. I feel like this is becoming a common theme. Literally crashed my drone a couple of weeks ago in Sulawesi. Chris crashed his drone 2 weeks ago in Iceland. I crashed my drone about 4 weeks before that. Yeah, lots of crashed drones in my life. Don't know what's going on. Luckily, I carry around spare blades with me wherever I go, just in case I have a situation like this. And typical, the light is just starting to get really good. Okay, I think we've had a successful operation here. And sometimes, guys, I know this seems counterintuitive, but sometimes it's best to get the drone straight back in the air to get all the dirt off of it. The air, as it goes through the air, all the dirt kind of shakes off of it. So that's what I'm gonna do at the moment. I'm just gonna test it out, see what's going on, see if there's any sand in there, and see if I can fix it. Listen to her purr. I'll tell you what, guys, this is one of those places that you would just never believe was Scotland through photos and videos. It looks like the tropics. It looks like I'm in the Caribbean somewhere. Literally, the water is turquoise blue. I've never seen this shade of blue before. It's almost green, actually. All right. I thought I'd just take a seat real quick down here, looking over this view, and answer some more questions. So, Sam Gerardo says, since you have the Apollo 11, do you think the White Speedy also fits in your collection? Interesting question. Let me actually just take a seat while I answer that because my knees are knackered. Old age. So I think now that I've got a Speedmaster, I've done it. I love my Apollo 11 and I don't think now that I've got my Speedy that I have room for another one. It's not to say that one's better than the other, it's just to say that I've done the Speedy thing, you know? Maybe in a couple of years' time if I want to expand my Speedy collection, but there's just so many other watches to play with. So I think for now, my Speedy is enough. Miguel0519 says, what do you like about your Seamaster and why? I am thinking of purchasing one myself. Lots of Seamaster questions in here. We can see that the King is still the King. So what do I love about the Seamaster? I mean, I have a sentimental attachment to the Seamaster. I've made an entire video talking about why I love the Seamaster, but to me personally, it's just the perfect all-round watch for everything. And I repeat, everything. Put it on the bracelet, dress it up. Put it on a rubber strap, dress it down. Go to the gym in it, go to the beach in it, climb a hill in it. And it does everything. And also, the Caliber 8800 is an absolute powerhouse of a movement. Coskin Metas certified, 55 hours of power. And this is from memory, guys, by the way. So honestly, I'm quite impressed with that. But yeah, the movement on this thing is unbelievable. The colors on this thing are unbelievable. The design on this thing is unbelievable. The sentimental attachment is unbelievable. The marketing is unbelievable. This is just an unbelievable watch. What is your advice for starting watch influencer, says James Wijaya. I don't consider myself really an influencer. I just talk about what I love. I think if you love watches and want to talk about them, then people will listen because you're passionate. You know, I loved Steve Irwin when I was younger because he was so passionate about what he was talking about. David Attenborough's the same. He was passionate, and passion is infectious to people. So if you're passionate about something, talk about it. By the way, I am heavily dyslexic, so I'm sorry if I get any of these names wrong. PJ Kunsmack says, better complication, GMT or quick date set? I would say GMT functionality is super, super useful. Actually, no, I would say GMT. I think that I definitely would use that more. I think that it's definitely more useful when traveling, and I travel a lot. But again, guys, this comes down to personal preference. It comes down to what you use the watch for. I would enjoy a GMT, and I'm looking at GMT now actually, the Black Bay Pro white dial, because of my lifestyle. I mean, look at where I am at the moment. Right, let's get up and explore a little bit more, and then we'll head to the next destination and answer some more questions. I honestly might just sit here for a while. It's, yeah, it's really peaceful. Heading just around about there. A top tip is to definitely wear walking boots because these are not going to cut it. You know what's pretty crazy is that wherever you go here when you're walking along the coast, you're met by these massive gorges that are the water kind of ingressing on the land. And there's no fences or anything, there's no safety. You're just kind of expected not to cock it up, not to fall off the cliff. And I was thinking to myself, my ADHD mind started to wonder, I wonder how many sheep or cows just kind of fall off these cliffs and are never seen again. Because they're humongous cliffs and the cows are right next to the edge. I'm sure that they must lose some of these bad boys. I mean, there's a perfect example right there, and also right here, right on the edge of a cliff. All right, just you watch, because there's a cliff right there, And there's also a cliff right there. Don't want anyone falling off of that. I mean, come on. Can you guys see that there? And the drop below it? Jesus. Oh my God, look at that. Look at that. You see that massive hole through that stack just there? Is it wrong of me to kind of want to fly the drone through that? I've already crashed one drone this trip. I'm not going to crash another one. Right, let's go and get a seat somewhere and answer some more questions overlooking this insane view. So a top tip for anyone flying the drone over water or really anything reflective, that could even be the car, to cut out reflections in the car, you want a polarizing ND filter. Now you could just get a polarizer, which is going to strip out those reflections, or you could get a neutral density filter, which limits the amount of light that can get into your camera, allowing you to drop the shutter speed. I use both, so I have an ND polarizer. They're both in one, so that strips out the reflections and also limits the amount of light getting into the drone. It means I don't have as many reflections when going over the water and you can see right through it. It's almost like sunglasses, but for the drone. All right, guys, I feel like this right here is as good a place as any. Wow, wow, wow. I keep getting vertigo a little bit when I look down, but hey. Okay, so hair_joy says, great work with the vids. I'm keen on a vintage Amiga for £1,000. What do you suggest? Also into cars. So there's so many vintage Amigas that you can go for sub £1,000. And I think that's partially why the Amiga brand is so cool. I think, honestly, and this is gonna be so left field, the Amiga Constellation Automatic yellow gold with a leather strap, a vintage one of them, I think is so cool. I love that kind of crosshair design it has on the dial. I think it's just awesome. And am I into cars? Yes, I am into cars. I'm trying not to get too into cars because I feel like it could be a problem. And I can feel that problem beginning to develop, but yes, I am into cars. I feel like watches, cars, cameras, and potentially whiskey kind of all run in unison. Like everybody that's into one is probably into another. So it's just finding the other one that they're into. Next up is from Brett C. Steinberg, and he said, what inspired you to get into the world of watches, or the watch world? I was always into watches from a very young age. I think that my dad was into watches, and legitimately, no word of a lie, I think that after watching James Bond and being kind of infatuated by Amiga, that's what started my trajectory. That's what started the kind of passion for watches. And as you guys probably know, these things kind of snowball. So I think that my dad in part, Amiga in part, and obviously James Bond. Hinniskandemer says, hi, how did you start in photography? Do you have same enthusiasm as the first day? I started in photography from a pretty young age. I was kind of rubbish in school. I failed all my exams. I didn't get into university. I had to go to college, and then I dropped out of college very quick. So I sucked at anything to do with education, literally. And to be perfectly honest, photography and videography was the only thing that I could find that nobody could tell me that I was wrong. I was so used to being told I was wrong in school. I was actually scared to ask questions in school in fear of being kind of bullied and just kind of embarrassed by my lack of knowledge. I was heavily dyslexic and I had ADHD, so I didn't really pay attention in class. So yeah, photography and videography came as a result to that. It was a kind of FU to the teachers that always would tell me that I was wrong because nobody could tell me I was wrong, if that makes sense. That kind of developed over the years and I ended up getting good at it, I suppose you could say. I don't think I'm anywhere near where I should be. I still want to develop, but I got pretty decent at it and I started working with big brands. And yeah, that's kind of where the journey began for me. I think it's an interesting question. I think it goes back to whether someone's being driven or they're being dragged through life. Now, someone that's driven wants to get to their goals and they're very determined to do so because they want to get there. But people that are dragged are often externally motivated by stuff that's gone on in their past. And I think at the start of my career, I was definitely dragged. I was trying to prove people wrong. And as I went on, I realized that no amount of money or views or photography awards or jobs, whatever it might be, would do that. I had to validate myself. I had to love myself first and yeah, kind of progress from there really. Do I still love it as much as I used to? Yeah, I think I do. I think, listen, I'm probably more selective in what I pick in terms of jobs, but being able to come places like this is where I personally feel free. I get really anxious, I get quite depressed if I'm sitting in the one spot too long. I need travel, I need adventure, I need to be doing things in order to stimulate myself. So I do still love it and I don't think that'll ever fade. Lena_J_M says, craziest thing you've done to get the perfect shot. I've done some stupid stuff for sure. I think climbing up Monroe's at 2 in the morning in the dark is fairly stupid. I think that standing outside in Finland in -30 waiting for hours on end to get the shot is fairly stupid. I think that traversing down into a glacier, into a hole, a crevasse in a glacier just to get a couple of shots for DJI was pretty stupid. Honestly, I've done some fairly stupid things in my time, but all that's truly left of us on this planet after we've gone is stories. And I am making it my goal to have some pretty awesome stories to tell. All right, last one until we go to the next location. L.O. Carola says, do you think Cyclops eyes are sexy? I hate them. So I've got a love-hate thing for Cyclops eyes. If I'm totally honest, I would prefer a watch without a Cyclops eye, but I do understand why they have the Cyclops eye. It's a throwback to history. It's a throwback to a moment in time, a bit like automatic or mechanical watches, manual wind watches. So I get Cyclops eyes, but my personal preference would say not to have a Cyclops eye. Right, and on that note, let's drive back down to Harris because it's a new day and it looks like the sun's gonna come out, and let's find some more incredible locations. By the way, for those of you that didn't know, technically speaking, Harris and Lewis are actually part of the same island. So the Southern Territory is Harris and the Northern Territory is Lewis. Harris has these beautiful white sand beaches, and in the north, you have more of this kind of rugged, rocky landscape, like where I am at the moment. It's actually quite incredible, the stark differences between the two parts of technically the same island. Now guys, something that I would suggest if you are coming to Harris is to get a bottle of Harris gin. It's one of the most beautiful gins that I've ever tried, and I'm actually gonna buy a couple of bottles to bring home with me. But it's not only the most beautiful gin I've ever tried, it has the most incredible bottle design. It's kind of like a blue and white bottle, and I actually use them as kind of ornaments around my flat because they're so pretty, and I always get questions around them. So definitely, if you're coming here, grab a bottle of Harris gin. You will not be disappointed. I feel like I should be sponsored by Harris Gin. Whew. All right, guys, so we've just arrived at Scarastamore Beach. This is past Luskentyre Beach, about 10-15 minutes past Luskentyre Beach, the previous beach we were at, and is just, if not more beautiful. There's cows roaming around over here, so we're gonna go and explore this and then answer some more questions. All right, guys, I don't want to scare you, but I kind of need to walk this way. What do you think? You gonna let me past? Look at you. Hey. All right, guys, it looks like we've made it to the beach. Take a look at how blue that water is just there. Not a soul in sight. Jeez, oh, it's beautiful. Guys, take a look at this. Look at how many shells there are on the beach. It's like a mix of white, pink, and purple. It's just stunning. It's everywhere you look. All right, guys, I thought I'd just plonk myself here and we can answer some more of these questions. So, there's a seal literally right there, and it keeps, it keeps popping its head out and just kind of saying hi. I'm going back down. Wow, sorry, ADHD is going crazy. So, Raman Lasik says, next watch to buy. Honestly, I think the next watch that I would buy is the Tudor Black Bay Pro. I thought it was the standout release from Tudor this year at Watches and Wonders, and I know that you guys will disagree with that, but genuinely, it's exactly what me and so many other people wanted. Now, watches to me have always been about memories. They're about the sentimental attachment that you put on the watch. So when the channel gets to 100,000 subscribers, and by the way, thank you guys so much for that, that is when I'll hopefully get that Tudor Black Bay Pro, and I'll engrave the case back with the CH logo and 100,000 or 100K to celebrate that milestone. And I just need to say thank you guys again. You know, the impact that you've had on my life cannot be understated. I honestly don't know what I'd do if it wasn't for this, and it's all thank you to you guys, so seriously, thank you. Yeah, I just thought it'd be nice to celebrate that milestone together and get a watch together and have the CH logo, and it represents the channel, and yeah. Okay, S Break I1 says, what's your favorite watch ever? Ever is a big question. I have several favorite watches. I think if it's my most worn watch, my most sentimental, most worn watch, it has to be the Omega Seamaster white dial. That connection with my dad, that connection with James Bond, that connection with everything that I've done over the last 5 years of my life, it's been there the whole time. And That can't be understated. It's a watch that will never be sold. It's a watch that will never be given away. It will always be within my family. And when I'm old enough, hopefully, I can pass that down to my kid. I actually think there's something in the water just here. Oh my God, I think it's a dolphin. All right, guys, sorry for the kind of minor freak out there. It turns out there was two, well, they look like dolphins, but I think it was porpoises, and they were just playing together, and I don't know, some really unusual behavior coming from them. But that's the kind of wildlife you can see in Scotland, and you're literally by yourself, just on the beach, watching this unfold. I can see them right in front of me, just kind of cresting in and out of the water. It's really beautiful. But anyway, let's get on with these questions, shall we? Okay, this is Dom, so this is a pal of mine. So it's D.EC Dom Edigan Carpentry. And he says, what inspires you to do what you do? What inspires me to do what I do? I think a lot of my motivation used to be external. And I don't think that's right. I think it came from a place of insecurity. And after a while, I kind of stopped thinking from a place of insecurity, stopped looking for validation, external validation, and looked within me. And the people that I really care about are my friends and family, and they will always be my motivation to keep going and doing what I'm doing. And I feel like that's the way it should be. I don't think validation should come externally. I feel like it needs to come internally in order for it to truly mean something, to truly make a difference. So yeah, friends, family, they are my inspiration forever and always. If you only had to keep one watch in your collection, what would it be? But damn, that's hard, because I just got my Apollo 11. But my Omega Seamaster. Horo Logos says real alternative to the Explorer 2. If you're looking for alternative to the Explorer 2, honestly, I'd say the Black Bay Pro, you just can't go wrong. It has a lot of the same DNA as the Rolex Explorer 2. Or you could go for something like the Christopher Ward Sealander. That with a white dial, I know I'm slightly biased here, but that with a white dial, I think it looks gorgeous. NRPW2310 says best time of year to visit Scotland. Honestly, summer's incredible, longer days, but I'm always and will always be a winter shooter. I prefer lighting in winter, I prefer harsh environments in winter, I prefer the snow, rain, wind. So I prefer winter, but I think for the normal person that's not a weirdo like me, I would go with summer. Doing Time Scotland said, which of the Holy Trinity is your favourite? I honestly believe that the best watch, or the best brand in the Holy Trinity, is Vacheron Constantin. It's the oldest watch brand in continuous production. Not the oldest watch brand in the world, because that goes to Blancpain, but the oldest watch brand in continuous production. And I feel like they're just so underrated, in my opinion. Everybody knows about the AP Royal Oak. Everybody knows about the Patek Philippe Nautilus. Not everybody knows about the Vacheron Constantin Overseas. And I think that is a superpower. And it's not gonna last. I think that'll change. And when it does change, you'll see a huge shift in the market. And I can feel that change coming. So I think Vacheron Constantin, one of the best brands in the world, if not the best brand in the world, definitely the best brand in the Holy Trinity. Doro Luca says, which is your favorite photo focus, landscape, architecture, or animals? I would say, to be honest, I would say landscape. I think that when I was younger, landscape photography was a form of escapism for me. It was getting out of a situation where I wasn't happy and into a situation where I was happy, where I could totally be free, where I could express myself through my art, which was my photography and videography. And it's interesting, when I was in that phase of my life, my photography was very moody, dystopian, kind of unsettling, shall we say. And as I got happier and more established and was able to do what I wanted to do more, my photography became brighter, more vibrant, more eye-catching. And I think, honestly, it perfectly represented my mood at the time. At the beginning, I was somewhere I didn't want to be, and I worked my way to a point where I was somewhere where I wanted to be, and I was actually happy. And I think that came across in my photography. So yeah, landscape photography for me is definitely the one. Okay, we're gonna answer a couple more questions and then we're gonna explore for a bit and then go somewhere else and answer more questions. Joshua Plan 5726 says, being an epic adventurer like yourself, would you ever consider an Explorer 2 or an Explorer as your ultimate travel adventure watch? I could easily see you rocking an Explorer 36 or the Polar Explorer 2, reference 16570. The Explorer 36 has definitely been more on my radar recently, ever since I went to Iceland with Chris Howe, and Chris actually has a Explorer 36mm. There's something about the way it looks in the light, the way it sheens and is unbelievably understated that I just love. And we had a big discussion about this and he really sold me on it. It's totally understated, it's totally discreet, but it serves a purpose. It demands the respect of the outdoors, and I really love that. The first one on the agenda is definitely the Black Bay Pro polar dial or white dial, but honestly, the Rolex 36mm Explorer, it's definitely raising my eyebrows at the moment, shall we say. Should you ever wind your watch before it runs out of juice or let it run its course and then wind it? How much winding is too much? So if you have a manual wound watch, you will know it's at the end of its windingness, if you want to call it that, because it will kind of click when you wind it. Do not wind it past that point and do not wind it the wrong way. You'll feel it getting tighter as you wind it, but then you'll start to feel that click, kind of hear that click. Do not wind it past that point. If you have an automatic watch and you're wearing it every day, you don't need to wind it. But if you do have a manual wound watch, then yeah, if you're hearing that little click, do not wind it past that point. You could damage the watch. All right, how about we explore for a little bit and then answer some more questions. That all the way up there is what we're going to. It's called McLeod Stone. And I'm not sure if any of you guys remember the movie called The Highlander. I remember my dad showing me it when I was really young, and he was called Connor MacLeod of the Clan MacLeod. So interestingly enough, this stone represents, of course, the MacLeod clan. But according to locals, the local kind of knowledge is that they believe that there was a big battle fought here between the MacLeod clan and another clan, a rival clan. And that's why they've put the stone here to kind of commemorate all the fallen. Hello. Jesus, you're a big boy. Oh, you are terrifying. I do not want to go near you. Hey. Hey, little cows. It's Attack of the Cows over here. What is going on? All right, guys, so we made it to MacLeod Stone, so let's answer some more of those questions. So, has there ever been a watch that made you consider having a one-watch collection? And if so, what was the watch? I'm sorry, guys, but it has to be the Seamaster. By the way, look at how this guy's just looking at me. Pantha Medic says, if you had the chance, would you co-run your own Swiss or British watch brand, being able to design and build the watches? I would love to have a hand in the design of watches. I would love to have a hand in the manufacture and building of watches. I just simply have too much on my plate at the moment, I think. With everything that's going on, I have the Instamind podcast, this YouTube channel, all the stuff that's going on at Chisholm Hunter, the new Summit collection that's just launched, which is my own gents jewellery collection. There's just so much to juggle, and I have been feeling recently like I have been a little bit snowed under. And yeah, I think that a watch brand is quite hard to keep alive and run, and I think that at the moment I just wouldn't be able to do it. I'd love to, but at the moment I just don't have the time. Stephen Baker 2736 says, at what price point does a watch become luxury? Is it a price point, quality point, or only brand name? I think it's a combination of all three. And I think that, I don't know, it's hard, because people would sometimes say that luxury, entry-level luxury would lie around Seiko Tissot. But I feel like the only reason they're entry-level luxury is because they have automatic movements for an affordable price. I think that true luxury lies in handcrafted
goods, and to get handcrafted stuff, you need to pay a premium. It's honestly really, really difficult. I think that I would consider entry-level luxury at kind of the Tissot Seiko area. But then you do get Casios that are very expensive, like the MRG range. I'm sorry guys, this cow is getting so close to me. This guy has a blue tongue, that is wild. All right everybody, I just wanted to quickly say something before I kind of cap this Q&A off. I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone that supported me, supported the Chisholm Hunter channel, even bought the Summit collection. That is crazy to me. Your support means the world. And without you guys, I would not be here looking over this beautiful sunset beside ancestral stone in Scotland. It's all because of you, and I truly need to thank you. I hope that you got a little bit of adventure out of this and you saw a little bit of my home in which I'm so proud to live. And I'll see you guys real soon. Oh my God, it's